Warning! This video is not scripted. If you are looking for a professional review, you are at the wrong place. If not, and you just want to see me talk about a game, please enjoy the show. So, welcome to the first video of the Why I Love series. In this series, I just talk about games that I love. Today we will talk about Mario Kart Wii. Mario Kart Wii was the first game I ever remember playing. It holds a special place in my heart, and because of that, it was the first game I wanted to cover on this series. We will go over 3 parts of this game. Those are the gameplay, the track selection, and the things that I don't really like or things that are not as important. The gameplay of Mario Kart Wii is mostly the same as any other Mario Kart game. You race 3 laps across a course. Once the 3 laps are done, the placement you're in is the placement you finish in. You get items to screw over other players, and otherwise it's more skill based. Drift good around corners and use the right items at the right time. Mario Kart Wii is different from other Mario Kart games because it introduced some new features. One of which is motion controls. If you hold a Wii remote on its side, you can play with motion controls. Some people liked this inclusion a lot, other people thought it was a cheap way to play the game. I, for one, really like this inclusion. It really made me appreciate the game a whole lot more, because when I was young, I didn't really know how a controller worked. So it was really easy for me to just, if you want to turn, you turn your remote. It was that easy. The second new feature Mario Kart Wii introduced was the trick system. With the trick system, you can perform tricks at the end of ramps. In the older Mario Kart games, it was very useless to go off a ramp. I would even say it would slow you down and would kinda ruin your race. For example, in Donut Plains 2, the ramps are pretty much obstacles. If you go off them, you can't turn in the air and you don't get any speed from that. So it would slow you down and they're pretty much hazards. In this game, you can now trick, so if you land, you can get a small speed boost. With that speed boost, ramps finally have a purpose. Another purpose the ramps had was because of one of the new items, the POW block. If the POW block goes off, you lose all your items and spin out. But if you go on a ramp and you're in the air, the POW block doesn't affect you. So, if there is like a split road and one has a ramp and the other one doesn't, and the POW block is about to go off, maybe you could go for the slightly slower route, but have a ramps to avoid the POW block. At least that's what I think they were trying to do with the POW block. The only problem is if you shake the Wii remote, the POW block just doesn't work. You lose your items, but you don't spin out. So that whole function is completely eliminated, which makes the POW block more annoying than anything. The third new feature Mario Kart Wii introduced, and probably the reason why people even come back to this game in the first place, are bikes. Bikes are pretty much the reason why I myself come back to the game. They are really fun to use. For starters, they have inside drift. They take corners very sharp, which makes me really like them because I can make the corners really sharp and really efficiently. In Mario Kart 8 Deluxe they also have inside, but it just doesn't feel the same. Other than that, bikes have not the orange drift, only the blue one, which sounds like it would make karts way better, because they can actually get more speed from their drift. The only problem with that is that bikes can do a wheelie. If you press the D-pad on your controller or shake the Wii remote, you do a wheelie. With the wheelie, you go faster on straightaways. And because there are way more straightaways than sharp turns, bikes are just way better than cars. And I can see that as a really big problem, because if you want to play with a kart and you're pretty much worse off than every other person that plays with a bike. But if just everybody picks a bike, it's still fair, and I just like the bike gameplay more. With the purple drift, I pretty much see that cars and bikes can now be really equal if Nintendo ever brings them back the way they were in Wii. Because they still have the wheelie, but if they still have the blue drift and not the red or the new purple one, they are at a really disadvantage in every single turn that there is. While on straightaways, they are actually better than the karts, because there's no turns, so the karts can't really get advantage of the speed boosts. So the thing that Nintendo wanted in the Wii version that just didn't really work out could now work way better. And I would prefer that because I really like the bikes and how they work and how they control. And I would love for Nintendo to bring them back. Also, let's talk about the other new items. I already talked about the power block and how pretty much useless it is, but there are two more. The first one is the Mega Mushroom. The Mega Mushroom is pretty much a worse star. You can squish people with the Mega Mushroom, and it also has a timer, and you're invincible to most items. But you already heard me, I said most items. Some items, like bullet bills for example, can still hit you. And while a shock doesn't shrink you, it does bring you back to normal. So it's still pretty useless. The other one is the Thundercloud. Many people hate the Thundercloud. And I agree. It's really terrible if you get the item and it automatically activates and there is no one near you and you just shrink like it's nothing. You can't pass it to anyone. The funny part is that I think would be a really easy fix. If you could just choose when to activate the item, this whole problem just fixes. Because if you just hold on for the item until you're close to people and then activate it to give it to another person, I think the whole problem would pretty much be fixed. But again, just like the power block, I like the idea, it's just a terrible execution. Let's talk about the track selection. The first track that you probably will play in this game is Luigi Circuit. It's a worse Luigi Circuit than the GameCube version. The GameCube version is really fun because you can pass other people from the other direction. But in here you just got that memorable part with all the boost panels, and other than that I can say nothing about this track. It's really forgettable and probably the second worst Nitro track in Mario Kart Wii. The second track of the Mushroom Cup is Moo Moo Meadows, which is in my opinion one of the better second tracks in the franchise. If you think about something like Daisy Hills or stuff like that, I think it's around the same level. But if you go like to another second track with the Moo Moo theme, Moo Moo Farm, Moo Moo Meadows is just way better. You still have the moles, but you also have cows on the tracks and just one ramp. The 8 Deluxe version even improves it with a glider ramp. But we're not talking about the 8 Deluxe version, so the Wii version is still pretty good. The third track, on the other hand, is Mushroom Gorge, a fan favorite, which the best version is still the Wii version. And why do I think the Wii version is still the best version? Well, it's because of how bouncy the mushrooms are. In 7 or 8, the mushrooms don't feel as bouncy. You don't bounce as satisfying as you do in Wii. So I still think the best version of that track is in Wii. The 8 Deluxe version does come close though, but I would still prefer the Wii version. And the last track of the Mushroom Cup is Toad's Factory, which is also a fan favorite, and I really like it, but it's not one of my favorite endings to a Mushroom Cup. I would take something like Luigi's Mansion or Shy Guy Bazaar over Toad's Factory. It's not that Toad's Factory is a worse track than all of those, I just think that Toad's Factory doesn't really have a place in the Mushroom Cup. For example, I think that the Flower Cups, Coconut Mall, would be a better finale to the Mushroom Cup than that Toad's Factory is. I think those two tracks could have swapped places. And that's just my opinion. I still really love Toad's Factory though, because of all the conveyor belts, the fact that the music changes when you're in or outside of the factory, the mod at the end is just a really good track. I just don't think it really fits the end of the Mushroom Cup. Then when we go to the Flower Cup, the first track is Mario Circuit, which is the worst Nitro track in the game. It's just an 8. Like Figure 8 Circuit. So it's nothing new. And the worst part is that just like Figure 8 Circuit, there's pretty much nothing to do. You have like a couple shortcuts to the grass and sand, you have one chain chomp, and how many Goombas were there? I think there were like 5 or 6 Goombas, I don't really remember how many there were. It's just not a good track. It's just boring. The second track of the Flower Cup is Coconut Mall, which is the big fan favorite of this game. It's probably the track people talk about the most. I think it's one of the weaker ones in the Nitro track selection. It's still a really good track. It's just that I prefer all the other, not all the other tracks, Mario Circuit was just before this, but I prefer a lot of the tracks in this game more than Coconut Mall. I still like the escalators, I still like the moving cars, I still like the shortcuts at the beginning, but I don't really, it doesn't capture me all that well. A track that does capture me though is DK Summit. DK Summit is probably one of my favorite snow tracks in the entire series. I love the shortcut with the double cut. I love the cannon shot at the beginning, just like what I love in DK Mountain and Malpa Treeway, which we'll get to later. I also love the snow theming, the snowboarding Shy Guys, like, that is a track I can get behind. Wario's Gold Mine is a pretty decent track, but also in my opinion one of the weaker ones. I still really like it, unlike the 8 Deluxe version, which the cars don't even hit you. But in this version, the carts can be pretty dangerous, and it's a really good finale to the Flower Cup, because it's probably really challenging for new players, so it's just like that skill ceiling that you need to overcome to unlock the Star Cup, which is just perfect in my opinion. The Star Cup starts with Daisy Circuit, which is probably with Yoshi Circuit my favorite circuit track. I just love the sunset, I love the shortcut at the stairs. That's pretty much it, but you know, that's already a lot for a circuit track, so I really like Daisy Circuit. Then next in the Star Cup we have Koopa Cape. Koopa Cape was always one of my favorite tracks. It goes down a little bit because of how ruined it's being right now in 8 Deluxe and in 7 and in Tour, but the original version I really enjoyed, and I still really enjoy it. The tube version is the best part, where you need to avoid the things that shrink you. To keep in the water, to keep your speed going is really nice. The only thing I don't really enjoy is the beginning part before you get to the water. It's pretty boring and nothing really is happening except for like those 2 Goombas. And then the final track in the Star Cup is Grumble Volcano. I really like Grumble Volcano conceptually. That like every lap more of the track goes away. So like in the last lap it's really hard to navigate. And it's also the perfect ending to the Star Cup. My problem with this track is mostly that it doesn't feel like it's getting harder. And that comes mostly because everything is falling in lap 2. Like in lap 1 everything is just complete. In lap 2 everything is still complete, just some parts are a little bit shaking to indicate that they will remove next round. And in lap 3, those places are removed. But in most places, it's not really all that much. I think only at the ending of the whole course, and maybe that one turn in the beginning. Otherwise, I don't think it's really all that good. Like, I would really like some holes middle in the track, but we didn't got that. It was only the edges. And I still really enjoy Grumble Volcano. I actually enjoy Grumble Volcano more than Coconut Mall. Yes, you guys can fight me, but it could have been way better. And then we'll move on to the Special Cup, which the first track is Dry Ruins. Dry Ruins is my favorite desert map in the whole Mario Kart series, and it doesn't even come close. From the falling pillars at the start of the temple, from, the pyramid temple stuff, from all the sands falling that just keeps on growing bigger and bigger every lap, which I think is really good. It isn't on the level that Grumble Volcano did, but I still really enjoy it. So yeah, I think Dry Ruins is just the best desert track in the whole series. Also the music slaps. For all of these songs, by the way, like DK Summit, there's also slap. Moonview Highway was, years ago, probably my third least favorite track in the game. Ever since it got brought back to a deluxe in the Booster Course Pass, I changed my mind on this track. This track is actually amazing, and that's mostly because the cars in this track are just really brutal. I don't really like Toad's Turnpike because of how slow the cars are moving. In the original, they are too big, so you always get hit. And in the 8 Deluxe version, they are way too slow and not too big, so you never get hit. But in this version, the cars are so fast and so brutal that it's still easy enough to avoid, but also hard enough to get at least hit once during the race. Unless you're like a real pro, but you know what I mean. So yeah, I also really like the nighttime aesthetic. I love all the boost panels and how fast you can go at the second section. It's really good. Then we have Bowser Castle, the fan favorite Bowser Castle. It's one of my least favorite Bowser Castles. That is mostly because it's too dynamic. There's too much happening. And normally I would say that's a good thing. But my favorite Bowser Castles are Bowser Castles like GCN, DS and Nintendo 64, where it's pretty chill what's happening, and it's just more the feeling of the Bowser Castle. I don't really care for this mechanical Bowser because it doesn't move, it's just stationary, it looks really cool, but once you know that all the balls always go in a straight line, you always avoid them. Like, always. Like, it's not even all that hard. You just stick to the side, do the 2 half pipes, and it's pretty much done. Like, if you once got hit by it and you know it's going that way, every time you don't get hit. At least in GCN Bowser Castle, the Bowser moves, so the fire goes on different places, so you can still get hit. Other than that, it's just a pretty forgettable Bowser Castle to me. I don't know why. I remember the fire pillar part at the ending, but yeah, other than that, I don't really remember anything from this Bowser Castle. Well, I remember like the whole GCN or N64 or DS or maybe even 8 Deluxe. Like I remember those whole tracks out of my head. And even though Wii is my most played Mario Kart game, I don't know this whole track out of my head. Also, I just remember that I forgot Malpa Treeway. I really like Malpa Treeway. You get shot to the tree. I love how difficult it is. I love the wigglers. I love the bouncy net. I just love everything about this track. I just don't know why I forgot about it. It's pretty funny actually. But yeah, it's probably my second favorite track right behind DK Summit. And finally we have Rainbow Road, which is my third favorite Rainbow Road and the hardest Rainbow Road of the series. It's great music. I love the fun fact that when you fall down, you just go like a meteor down to earth and Legato just picks you up, but you don't see it. So like, maybe you fell on a human or something. We don't know. Like in 8 Deluxe, you get picked up before you like really descend. But like in the original, maybe you just hit the earth and like killed somebody. Who knows? Nobody knows. I love all the challenge that it brings. I love the middle part where you can just skip the big circle things with the mushroom. I love the shortcut right before the cannon, but you can do without a mushroom. And I just love this whole track's feel, and it's probably the most Rainbow Road, if you can know what I mean. The retro track is also pretty solid, nothing mind-blowing though. Like, you have some really good tracks like Delfino Square, Waluigi Stadium, DK Jungle Parkway, GCN Mario Circuit, which is actually a really good Mario Circuit, DS Peach Gardens, GCN DK Mountain, and N64 Bowser Castle. But there are also some real stinkers in there, like DS Yoshi Falls, SNES Ghost Valley 2, GBA Shy Guy Beach, DS Desert Hills, and SNES Mario Circuit 3. Like, I don't really care about any of those. And then you have just some tracks where I'm like, okay, it's fine, the inclusion is fine. Like GBA Bowser Castle 3 and N64 Sherbet Land. So, it's a pretty mixed bag of tracks in the retro selection. I would say it's pretty good, but like after we got the retro track selection in Mario Kart 8, especially now in 8 Deluxe, and especially the base game of Mario Kart 7, this retro track selection just doesn't compare. Let's now talk about the battle mode. I really enjoy the battle mode of Mario Kart DS, Mario Kart Double Dash, and Mario Kart Nintendo 64. Or in other words, just Mario Kart 64. I really enjoyed those battle modes. And I also enjoy the battle mode of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but just not the balloon battle. This battle mode had so much potential, because I think the battle maps are really good. Like Delfino Pier and Funky Stadium, I really enjoy. And some of the tracks that came back, like N64 Skyscraper and DS Twilight House, are also really good picks to return. The problem is just that the battle mode sucks. You're on a timer, you can't change that, you're forced into teams. So yeah, it sucks. Coin battle is a little better, but you're still forced in teams, so yeah, I would rather play like most other battle modes. Which is just a shame, because I think the track selection for the battle modes are really good. Then let's talk about online. I have not really played online when the servers were up. I play online now, but like that's on fan server, so I can't really judge on how the online was back then. I've heard that it was the best running online game on the Wii. Not saying much, but it was still the best running online game on the Wii. But the fan servers what I'm on playing now are really good, and I almost never have problems. The only problems that are there though is sometimes when you just hit somebody with a green shell on your screen and it doesn't on their screen, they just keep, driving and stuff like that. But on the whole, it works pretty well. Then for some small stuff that I like or don't like, the multiplayer split screen is pretty good. I think all Mario Kart games does a pretty good job at that, so I don't have to talk about that. Every CC is just the normal. You have 50, which is boring, 100, which is just for beginners, 150, the one you want to play, and mirror mode, why is this here? So, those are the things. You also have time trial, of course, in the game, which I don't really get involved in that much. I played it to unlock the unlockables from time trial, but then it was just done. The character roster is probably, before the 8 Deluxe DLC, the best character roster, but not anymore. And no, it was not because of Funky Kong, it was mostly because of the varied roster, and it wasn't, full of Koopalings and babies. I should also talk a little bit about the modding scene. The modding scene for this game is actually really crazy, and I don't want to delve too much into it because I don't think that would be fair. Just so you know that this community is pretty good. It's not the most, perfect community, like there are also still a lot of toxic people, but I think a lot of people are really good in this community. And also a lot of people are very talented because of some of the custom tracks that are made for this game are really good. Even most of my flaws with this game, like for example, no 200cc mode or the terrible thundercloud, are fixed with mods. It's just that I have not seen yet the battle mode fixed with mods. So, we still have a way to go. And I think that was the ending of the video of why I love Mario Kart Wii. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of videos. I don't really, think these are really all that good because they're not scripted and it's just me talking about the game. But if you guys enjoy, then just let me know. I will probably make more of them. See you guys next time. Bye.